New York Governor Eliot Spitzer, well, he says he's sorry, but is apologizing enough? Dr. Bruce Weinstein, who's BusinessWeek's the ethics guy, is with us right now. And Doctor, what do you make of all of this mess?
Well, in his behalf, he did apologize, so that counts for something. You know, some politicians in his situation deny. So he did step up to the plate, but unfortunately, he didn't go far enough. That's the problem.
Did he really? And we were discussing that. We're trying to figure out, did he really apologize? He came up and said, you know, fell short, and I'm going to speak with my family, and I was trying to build New York, and see you later.
He didn't say, I didn't do it, the charges, all these allegations are incorrect, so at least he did acknowledge some wrongdoing, whatever that was. But he was wrong when he said that politics is about ideas, not individuals. It's about both. And especially when you build your career on going after the very people that apparently he is a part of, it does reek of hypocrisy, which is ethically a bit of a problem.
Well, there's a lot of hypocrisy in the world, and the question is about the private sector versus the public sector. There's people in the private sector that do bad things and get caught. Is there a different standard for public sector versus private?
No, because the ethical principles that apply to politicians apply to folks in business and to the rest of us. Do no harm, make things better, respect others, be fair, be compassionate. These 5 fundamental ethical principles apply to everyone.
Yeah, but if I do something bad, how does that impact you? Now, well, if I'm writing laws that you and I have to live by, now you are impacted by my decision.
That's true. And if you're an executive, you have obligations to stakeholders, you have obligations to clients, to people on the board of directors. So, you know, what Governor Spitzer apparently did was act selfishly. And whether you're in business or politics, your first responsibility should be to advance the interests of other people.
All right. There's a lot of people that would love, you know, he has a lot of enemies. And yet at the same time, the one that I focus on more than anything else, yeah, he went after this group and that group, and Wall Street doesn't like him, but he prosecuted and busted people for prostitution, exactly the thing that he's being caught up in.
You mean he busted people for prostitution? I'm not sure there are any allegations that he was prostituting people himself. Right? So we should just be clear about that. But no, I mean, it's one thing if he had built his career on trying to legalize prostitution, but to actually go after prostitution rings and to say that this is a scourge of society and then privately to be engaged in that, you just have to wonder, why was he so reckless? What the hubris of this is really troubling ethically, and it reminds us that the more powerful we become, the more intoxicating power is, and the more we have to be on guard against letting power get to us. That, I think, is the moral lesson here.
Dr. Bruce, stay with us. Let's bring in Jack Howe and James Leventhal. Now, Jack has already said this is worse than a speeding ticket, but less than deficit spending. Come on, Jack. I mean, my gosh, he put people in jail. He busted people for prostitution rings.
Well, hey, at least they're calling it a high-class prostitution ring. Imagine how embarrassing it would be if it was low-class in the papers. But, you know, to me, the test really here is how does this affect this man's ability to do his job? And that really could go either way, because I don't think it's completely up to him. He has to have people cooperate with him, and really, he's in a pinch here because, as you say, he's made a lot of enemies. And
Jack, everybody in his own, I mean, he is not going to be able to get anything done in Albany ever again. He has got every politician, they are running from him right now. How's he going to be able to do his job when he has no allies? He has no credibility left.
You might be right. And, you know, as I said, it's almost out of his hands at this point. It depends on, you know, whether people are going to cooperate with him or not. I mean, if people are going to sort of be morally indignant about this, then he's not going to be able to get much done for the people, and he might have to go. But really, you know, to me, the biggest part of this whole story that offends me is that someone made income here and didn't pay taxes on it. I have to pay my bit every year. I hate to see money changing hands and no one paying.
Well, yeah, that's how they got Al Capone, was on tax evasion. But James Leventhal, is this more than a speeding ticket but less than deficit spending?
I'm not going to put it on the spectrum, but in addition to the question of his ability to do his job going forward, which I agree is irreparably impaired, there's also the fact that this is a guy right now in his position with a ton of authority. I mean, think about the things that he can just in the normal course of his job do. He can pardon or commute convicted felons from their sentences. He can call out the National Guard. I mean, that list goes on. And when you have somebody with that position of authority, you really want to make sure that they have good judgment to go along with it. And as I think we've all agreed, I mean, this is such an inexplicable lapse of judgment at best explained by an egomaniac streak, that I don't see how we can allow him to continue in this job.
All right. James Leventhal, Jack Howe, Dr. Bruce Weinstein, thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Gerald?
Tom.